It waits for no man, Todd Whitehead.
It rubs the lotion on its producer. Wait, what?
What? No. Why am I putting that in the basket? You ready to do a show?
As ready as I'm likely to become. Let us
All right,
be upon
man.
it.
This is gonna be interesting. Todd's on heavy meds. Here we go.
Let them figure it out for themselves.
Oh, maybe I'll record it even. Huh? What do you
Hey!
think?
What a good idea. This is why you're the pro, you see?
I have all the best ideas.
Damn Skippy.
My fellow Australians, we pirate more than anyone else in the world. How about paying for some content at patreon.com/acedetect.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, August 4th, 2014. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Mr. Todd Whitehead, creator of the Alpha Geek Radio Network and host of Casually Hardcore, the podcast. How's it going, Mr. Whitehead?
I am still kicking, back pain notwithstanding. All is well in my corner of the universe.
I hear, like, literally your sciatica.
Yep.
Is
Got
acting up.
I got to be old this morning and say, oh, that's novel and new.
I am sorry to hear that and extremely appreciative that you're still willing to be on the show.
Some things are important, you know that?
Well, yes, but you're still also willing to be on the show. That's amazing. Let's do some headlines. According to TechCrunch, Square, the company that makes mobile credit card readers, has acquired food delivery service Caviar for a reported $90 million in stock. Square launched its own food ordering service earlier this year, but only allowed customers to order food for pickup. Caviar provides delivery for restaurants. Our producer Jenny has done some research and can confirm the ability to order 1 ounce of actual Osetra caviar from Caviar, but only if you're in New York for now. In related news, producer Jenny is now very hungry for caviar. And no, Jenny, we cannot have a Jenny Gets Paid in Caviar level added to the Patreon.
But yeah, I mean, have any of these internet-based food delivery services been a long-term success? I mean, these were some of the early .com bust stories.
Well, right. You're thinking of like the Web Vans,
right.
The Cosmos.
Have they
They've
figured it out?
stabilized, but the ones that have been successful have all been grocery store related, right?
Okay.
So this is the first one. This is the first re-rise. I mean, there's Grubhub. There's a few others out there that have been around for several years, and they seem to have figured it out. And Pink Dot, I think, here in LA.
I would love to see them succeed because it seems like a wonderful synergy between what we're used to doing, ordering our pizzas and stuff, but extending it into new territory. They just got to find their customers.
Yeah, for sure.
GigaOM passes along a Xinhua report that Beijing Youth Daily says a procurement list for governmental security software suppliers, say that 5 times fast, now only includes Chinese vendors. Symantec of the U.S. and Kaspersky of Russia have been removed from the list. However, it may not be as bad as it looks, as Symantec representative told Reuters. It is important to note that this list is only for certain types of procurement, and Symantec products are not banned by the Chinese government.
Things are confusing in China right now.
Yeah, but the dripping of irony on this one, just the number of U.S.-based companies that have had panicked bans on Chinese networking equipment with the supposition that there's monitoring equipment built into them.
Sure.
What goes around comes around, and everything old is new again.
Yeah, and the Chinese propaganda arm, both journalistically and official state releases, have been cranking up to sort of put the pressure on foreign businesses, especially U.S. businesses, in light of the Snowden revelations. So it's not a surprise to hear that one hand is not agreeing with the other hand, where you have, Xinhua reporting Beijing Youth Daily saying this is true, and then Symantec going, well, nobody told us that. So maybe all light and no heat. Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
The BBC reports a 41-year-old Houston man was arrested on charges of possessing and promoting child pornography after Google sent a tip to the U.S. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Houston Police's David Nettles implied that Google identified child porn in the man's Gmail account. Google's not commenting. However, Google's Eric Schmidt wrote in the Daily Mail last year that Google will actively remove such images from its services, not just search. A similar case happened in 2013 when a man was caught sharing illegal images through an AOL email account. We'll talk more about this in a little bit.
The Verge passes along a Wall Street Journal report that the Department of Transportation plans to propose a rule this December that would prohibit making and receiving in-flight cell phone calls. The ban seems to be based on workplace factors for flight crew and not because of any technical reason.
Yeah, that's why it's Department of Transportation. Whatever, I guess Airphone just went out of business, huh?
Yeah, they vanished from the backs of seats, God, 7-10 years ago.
So it's really like nobody wanted to make calls on flights.
Yeah, I don't think the demand was ever there. I think I
or maybe it was
used
just
that.
expensive. I don't know.
Yeah, it was wicked expensive the one time I ever used it.
I used it once when they first showed up in the 90s to call my girlfriend in Austin just so I could say, hey, I'm on the plane. Isn't this cool?
Yeah.
All right, I got to hang up because it's really expensive.
Yep.
Recode reports Comcast will allow low-income customers with outstanding bills older than a year to sign up for its $10 a month internet plan. Previously, if you had an outstanding bill, you couldn't sign up at all. The plan, called Internet Essentials, is for families with at least one child that qualifies for the U.S. school lunch program. Comcast also announced it will waive the first 6 months for new customers in the program.
Yeah, this has the aroma of let's look good as we beg for merger approval. Because there's lots of horror stories about people trying to qualify for this, or even find the offering anywhere in Comcast literature or on their site, and just be told flat out lies by representatives. Oh no, that doesn't exist, or we can't offer that in your area. So this is them trying to polish that a little bit and say, oh, we're nice guys. Look at us.
You know, I hope that this sort of thing does not have any material influence on whether the Time Warner Cable merger gets approved or not. However, the fact that this plan exists at all was a condition of the merger with NBC Universal. So
Right.
if this is the sort of thing that makes plans like this happen, is that such a bad thing?
Yeah, but the fact that they created and then kind of actively deny that it was there, and the fact that they're trying to make their industry as a whole look better because of the Time Warner proposed merger, they're getting a lot of bad press, and deservedly so in a lot of cases. So they're trying to get some good news into the news cycle, I think.
Yeah. Time for some news from you. These are submitted at our subreddit. More than 3,000 people are active on the subreddit submitting stories. It's a great place to just go read what kinds of stories other folks who listen to DTNS are interested in. And of course, I look at it to help determine what goes on the show, and I highlight particular ones every episode like I'm going to do right now. So get in there and submit some links. Do some voting up and down. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. SP Sheridan submitted this Reuters story that security researcher Ruben Santamarta says he's figured out how to hack the firmware of satellite communications equipment on passenger jets, partly through using Wi-Fi and in-flight entertainment systems. That's the kind of thing that's going to grab headlines, and it's probably true, but you want to hold off on just how dangerous this might actually be in practice. Santa Marta will present his findings Thursday at the Black Hat Security Conference later this week. His procedures have only been tested in IOActive's Madrid laboratory, and they might be difficult to replicate in the real world. I just want to take a little wait and see like how bad this vulnerability is. But it's nothing to joke around about if it's passenger jets, for sure.
Yeah, and if you ever want to be terrified about technology, attend a Black Hat conference.
Absolutely.
Bring some cash, because it's all cash transactions, and there's been things demoed there. A lot of manufacturers, in a silly way, practice security through obscurity. They just think, well, not a lot of people know about these things, so what's the likelihood that, well, apparently the likelihood's pretty high, because there's a lot of smart people out there who like to figure out how things work, and this is a particularly frightening aspect of the breed.
Yeah, for instance, Cobham Communications makes one of the communications equipment that's listed. They said that you'd have to have physical access to the equipment. Okay, if I'm on the plane, I might be able to get physical access to the equipment somehow. So it's all a matter of levels of risk, and the fact that Santa Marta says, hey, some of these pieces of equipment have hard-coded logins that can't be changed, making it vulnerable.
Yeah.
He's trying to raise awareness, like security through obscurity, like Todd's talking about, isn't good enough.
No. Mr. Anthropology, great name, posted the CNET article about a printout of a screenshot of 4chan, of a 4chan post fetching a bid of $90,900 on eBay. The post from Anonymous reads, "Art used to be something to cherish. Now literally anything could be art. This post could be art." A screenshot of the eBay listing of artwork by Anonymous has collected more than $50,000 in bids, but was then taken down.
Yeah, we'll see if the $90,000 bid actually pays or if it's just trolling. I have a feeling it might pay. People do crazy things for art. And I
Yeah.
think this person trying to be like, art used to be something to cherish. It's always been something to cherish, and it's always been anything could be art. At least since the Renaissance.
Things ain't what they used to be is a very common human reaction to the world changing around us. This is a good example of that. But people have paid exorbitant amounts of money for things that I would not even call art. And people treasure them, to each their own.
Whoever's buying this is buying the story, if they actually do pay for it.
They want to be able to point it at the wall and say, hey, remember reading about that?
And they want to say, that's the actual one that was out there. Yeah.
That,
Captain Kipper submitted the Verge article that Elon Musk seems a little spooked after reading the book Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom. On Saturday, less than 2 hours after experiencing a Guardians of the Galaxy-induced euphoria, because he just posted about it, Musk was brought back down to Earth somehow, writing, "We need to be super careful with AI, potentially more dangerous than nukes." By Sunday, the man behind SpaceX and Tesla Motors was still in a funk, writing, "Hope we're not just the biological bootloader for digital superintelligence. Unfortunately, that is increasingly probable."
I think maybe his Twitter account has become sentient.
Maybe.
Pork Chop D Clown passes along the Gizmodo report that Japan wants to create a military-based project to monitor space debris. As many as 3,000 individual pieces of trash orbit the Earth, moving at speeds up to 22,000 miles per hour. The new force will track down debris and share that data with the United States, but the program will also monitor military activity in space. As for what to do with the junk, in January, Japan announced its plan to launch a space garbage collection net by 2019.
Wait.
I think this is very savvy.
Isn't that... There's a story that begins with somebody like doing space garbage collection, and then he discovers something in the garbage.
That sounds like a really good writing prompt.
Yeah.
But
this is science fiction becoming reality here. This is pretty crazy.
But it's also, you look at the commercialization of many other aspects of space exploration and travel, and this could be them trying to get ahead of the curve and say, hey, you guys fund us, and we will make it safer for you to get your jobs done.
All right, and also, can we admit that Japan having a space force is totally manga?
Yeah, oh God, yes. It's what is this, the IDF from Robotech?
Right. It's a serious problem, the space debris, and I'm glad to see that it's being addressed, but it just trips all those triggers as well. And that's a look at the headlines. Hey, we're getting some great pictures from listeners wearing their Daily Tech News Show shirts out there. There's still plenty of time to send us one if you were planning on doing it, or if you hadn't heard about it. Send a picture of you in your Daily Tech News Show t-shirt for a special year-end project that Jenny's been cooking up. You don't have a DTNS t-shirt? Well, that's easily remedied. Go to slashloot.com, look at the podcast section, and you can exchange American currency or even convertible other currencies for a very cool shirt with a very cool logo by Mustafa from thepolarcat.com, available in white, black, and ash. That's the podcast section at slashloot.com, slashloot.com. All right, so we've got a very interesting story, especially because it involves child pornography. And I think I remember talking about this when it happened with the AOL email previously. 41-year-old Houston man who has been registered as a sex offender since 1994 on counts on an assault charge is arrested in Houston because on two charges, one of possession of child pornography and one of promotion of child pornography. That's a news story on its own, but it's outside of the world of technology. What makes it interesting is that what led them to arrest him was Google sending a tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Now, Google's not commenting about this, but David Nettles of the Houston Metro Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force told a local news broadcast he was trying to get around getting caught. He was trying to keep it inside his email. I can't see that information. I can't see that photo, but Google can. That tripped off a lot of triggers. A lot of people said, well, wait a minute. Sure, we want the child pornographers to get caught, but what is Google doing looking at people's Gmails? On the other side of that, remember that investigators got a warrant. They went to on the basis of the tip, they went to a judge, they got a warrant, they followed legal procedures. They then went and searched his phone, found child porn on the phone. They searched his tablet, found some there. They also found text messages and emails where he talked about his interest in children. So they are prosecuting him. They're charging him based on evidence they collected after a warrant search. It seems like Google's tip was merely the basis for probable cause. So this is a lot different than a Snowden situation. Google promised last year to crack down on child porn. And as I mentioned, in 2013, AOL did a similar thing. So it's not like this is the first time it's happened. From what we know of Google's search engine porn fighting, what they do is an image is hashed, all right, which means that it's just turned into a bunch of numbers. Nobody looks at the image. It's then compared to known databases of offending images and their hashes. So this is all done automatically. Just as data is streaming through, images are compared to this database. If there's a match, it is passed to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or if it's in the UK, actually, it's the Internet Watch Foundation. But either way, an actual human being then looks at it for the first time and says, is this in fact an offending image? After they've looked at it, so you've got some checks and balances, it's then sent on to the authorities, who then decide, is this a probable cause, et cetera, et cetera. Virginia Attorney General spokesman Brian J. Gottstein told Hampton Roads back in January 2013 regarding the AOL email, it's analogous to the FedEx or UPS reporting a package they suspect of containing narcotics to the authorities. They don't open the package. They just say, we kind of think there might be something bad in here. You guys look and see if you got probable cause, get a warrant, and open it up. What do you think, Todd?
I'm very heartened by the fact that, at least in this case, due process seems to have been very religiously followed. And there are few things in this world as horrifying as exploitation of children. At the same time, the old cynical man that I am has a little alarm that goes off whenever the phrase, "we have to protect the children," comes up in relation to anything. Because under that banner, some pretty not great things have been done and proposed, and laws have been enacted that were not well thought out. So we have to be really careful with this, because a label of child abuser or sex offender is a life-destroying thing.
Even if it's not true, it can,
right,
for sure.
Especially when we've been talking so much lately about the right to be forgotten. This is something someone would want expunged from their search record if it was found to be untrue, and the impossibility of making that go away is terrifying to contemplate, a false accusation like that. So, yes, this tool serves a very good purpose. It just needs to be used ethically, honestly, and what I fear is the way it might be abused as part of a smear campaign. Like targeted again, and having things pass through somebody's network designed to trigger this system and get a warrant written. So careful, careful, careful. I don't want this to go away. I just want it to be used by intelligent people and used correctly.
Yeah, to me, the real nub of the controversy, if there is a controversy here, is Google proactively scanning all of your images, right? Yep. That's the weak point in the argument. And Beatmaster pointed this out in the chat room. If Google knows there is child pornography on their network, they have to report it. That's the law in many countries, not just
I work in an industry, I work in IT support, and I have that same onus on me if I come across it. And thank God, so far in my life, I have not encountered that, and I do not wish to. I would absolutely be reporting it.
So the question is, does Google have to look for it? And this, because they're not just coming across it, they're actually seeking it out.
Yeah.
By comparing it to this database. And I don't think anyone disagrees with the validity of saying, hey, you know what? We have a database, and this is a database that's from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It's a subset of the most undeniable instances of this that they are comparing it against. No, I don't think anybody disagrees that that's worth doing. The question is, that's not all the system could do. And that's where people start to get their hackles up, is that's fine
slippery
that you're doing
slope.
it for that. How do we know that you aren't going to do it for something else? Google, you already scan the text of my emails to display advertisements in the same sort of way. Who's to say that in this world of Snowden leaks, that the NSA doesn't come in and give you a secret court order that says, oh, you also have to scan people's images for this? And who's to say that that unsupervised program doesn't turn to going after political enemies or freedom of speech? It's a slippery slope argument. I get that. And it's a long way down the road. But it is the kind of thing that you want to really be careful of before you allow this to be the norm.
And BioCow in the chat realm mentions someone could email me an item of child pornography right now, and if the system is working correctly, the other person would be seen as the source, but that still could lead to the truthful statement that child pornography was found on Mr. Whitehead's computer because someone sent it to me.
Yeah.
I immediately deleted it, but for a period of time, it existed on my computer, and the abuse of that scares me. So it needs to be a system that knows who sent, who received, what was done, and when it leads to the law becoming involved. I'm a little scared by the recent revelations about how technically not savvy our Supreme Court justices are. So making an argument, I think about things like someone borrowing my Wi-Fi from my home and doing dastardly things with it, being traced back to the IP address that my ISP says is mine, and how that could be misinterpreted and misused. So this falls in that same category of, yes, protect the children. Yes, this can be a wonderfully effective tool at stopping some horrible things. It could also go off the rails in a spectacularly frightening way. So at the moment, it scares me more than it encourages me.
And it has to go right. There's answers to all of these objections, which is Google obviously is going to look and see, was it an incoming email or an outgoing email? Google can tell if the account has been hijacked. They already have ways of telling that and alerting you if they think your account has been hijacked. But all of these rely on someone or some system at Google following the rules.
And that scares me a lot, because you look at their music tracking system and its history of takedown notices on YouTube, not the most stellar algorithm ever.
Well, and I think that's the biggest objection here is, let's make sure that this procedure isn't used for anything else. Yeah. Because if somebody comes along, and I think the biggest real fear that people could have is that copyright violations, which are against the law, come along and it's like, hey, if you're doing that for child porn, could you do it for some other stuff, for the intellectual property industry too? And no, I don't think that the weight of that crime and the inaccuracy that has been proven of detection of those sorts of things it makes it worth it. From what I have been able to read, they are going about this exactly right, which is they don't go after any instance of child pornography. They go after undoubtable instances, which is the right way to do it.
And as long as that line can be very clearly defined and maintained of, we have 99.999% certainty that a human should look at this to verify it, and that human element is vital.
Yeah,
this cannot be
that's
an
in
automated
there
system
it now, but
it can't be 100% automated.
I get, you know what? Honestly, the longer we're talking about this, the part that bothers me most about this story is that Google won't comment, because I want them to be transparent about this situation. I know that might make it easier for somebody out there to get around their system. That's exactly the same argument the NSA is making about the Snowden leaks. Like, yeah, sure, it's great to have transparency, and now you all know what's going on, but now the bad guys know too, and they're trying to make the argument that that's helped them.
But the bad guys already know. These people, piracy didn't vanish because DRM was created. You only need a small number of very smart people who are broken or bad in this particular way, and solutions will be found and distributed. That's just reality. So the fantasy of, well, if we just aren't transparent, we're making it harder for them, you're making it microscopically harder for them. Transparency, I would say, would trump obscurity in this case, because there's too much potential for abuse, so it has to be above board.
If we're going to end on a positive note, the positive note I would say is that we have not seen this system yet ruin anybody's life.
That we are aware of.
And Microsoft is apparently doing similar things, as is AOL, as is Yahoo. And we have seen systems where film developers at a Walmart turned in a couple because they thought the pictures of the baby in the bathtub weren't appropriate.
And that's the horror story that my brain as a parent went to of, And that's the sad commentary on the world we live in, is you can overreact to very innocent things because we've seen the bad news too many times.
Yeah.
Like,
that's as hopeful as I can get, right?
I'd say there's not a lot. I mean, when you
hopeful.
begin the conversation with child pornography, there's not a lot of places you can't go.
It's tricky. It's the best example of this, though, because there's not anybody out there, well, almost no one of statistical significance out there, who's going to argue that this, that isn't a good example of why we do want to do something like this.
Now, Big Brother has a place and should be collared and restrained, but can do useful things that help people.
Tomorrow on the calendar, August 5th, which is known as today in other parts of the world, like this part of the world, car maker Tesla Motors will appear in a Chinese court for trademark infringement. Tesla is being sued by Chinese businessman Zhan Baosheng, who claims ownership of the Tesla trademark in China. Zhan is demanding that Tesla stop all sales in China and pay him 23.9 million yuan, which translates to about 3.85 million US dollars in compensation. Also on August 5th, Growth Beat 2014 in San Francisco, a conference about the data, apps, and science of marketing. And finally, also on August 5th, Groupon reports its earnings. Our pick of the day comes from Jamie in Vancouver, who came across this while researching for a friend. It's a portable USB battery pack for charging your devices on the go. Packs 11,200 milliamp hours into a small form factor. You can charge 2 devices at full speed simultaneously, supports smartphones as well as tablets, and the best part is the price is $40. Jamie says, I might be getting one of these for myself and thought I would share this with you and the listeners of DTNS. It's an Amazon product. We've got an Amazon link to it. It's called Into Circuit. $33 right now is what I'm seeing. They do that variable pricing thing. 253 customer reviews and 4.5 stars. I haven't tried it, but I might replace my old 3,000 milliamp hour Mophie with this thing.
Yeah, I have a similar version of that, and I love mine because it's 3 different USB ports, 1 high amperage one for tablets and 2 low amp ones for phones. I use the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It is because I'm a heavy cell phone user.
So thank you for sending that, Jamie. Appreciate that. And we'll have the link in the show notes as well. Send your picks to feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. We want to hear them. And you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Finally, Bobby writes with our message of the day, with the president signing the Unlocking Consumer Choice and Wireless Competition Act into law, do you think the price of unlocked cell phones will drop drastically? For example, the cost of an unlocked iPhone. Todd?
Hell, not a chance in. Because they're not marked up. This is what the phones actually cost. A pocket-sized supercomputer is kind of a spendy proposition.
I get where Bobby's coming from, which is, hey, if making it easier to unlock phones means that more people will have unlocked phones, would that make it so that the price of an unlocked phone would have to drop because of demand, right? Like it's easier to get one, so it shouldn't cost as much. I get where he's coming from. Sadly, that price has never been subject to market pressure, and that price is still for somebody before a contract. So the fact that you could get one used and unlocked, I just don't think the market is still big enough for unlocked phones to affect it. I wish you were right, though, Bobby.
Yeah, I would love to see that come to pass, but I think we're still in the land of Moore's law on crack, where with the pocket devices, the power increases are escalating so quickly until that levels off. They get a point where they have a standard phone that's good enough for everything we want to do, and it stays that way for a while. Then we may see low-end phones being offered. Here's the cheap one. It's not our flagship. It's a phone you can get unlocked for $60. Have a nice day. We're not there yet.
We are starting to see much more affordable unlocked phones, though.
That are very nice feature-wise, because even though they're air quotes old, they're still darn fine phones. There's not today's phone.
I'm fighting on your side, Bobby. I'm a little skeptical that, and he's just asking the question. I'm afraid the answer is probably going to be no, but
here's hoping.
Well, thank you, Todd Whitehead. Patreon.com/AlphaGeek, folks. If you like listening to our show live on Alpha Geek Radio or all of the other amazing shows that are on Alpha Geek Radio, go back the Patreon, patreon.com/AlphaGeek. Just kick them $1 or something. Just help a brother out. Twitter.com/GnomeWise with a G, Gnome Wise. if you want to be open source about it. And, of course, mobile.alphageekradio.com. You've been traveling around doing comics. Any comic conventions? Anything else coming up soon?
Dragon Con. I'll be there with you. And if we can work out the bandwidth issues in that particular ballroom, we'll be streaming you presenting at the Parsec Awards this year.
Oh, cool. And you know what? Either Cord Killers or Daily Tech News Show is going to be right after the Parsecs, so maybe I'll trick you into staying around.
Well, I mean, if you're doing it as part of the podcasting track, you're going to be included. We're going to be live streaming, hopefully video streaming like we did from Woodstock this year.
Yeah.
And
and it worked out at Nerdtacular, the podcast streaming. That was great.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. That with they bring the UAT, Paul Denegris and his team, they do a spectacular job.
Thanks, sir. Mobile.alphageekradio.com. Once again, find Todd's work there. 4,221 patrons. It was payday, August 1st. And folks, if you are a patron and you get an email about, because I know some people's cards get part of a hacked database and they have to change their numbers and stuff. You might want to check your emails to see if Patreon has reached out and said, hey, your card got declined. Might want to change the number, stuff like that. But that has not been a problem for the majority of you. And we are steaming ahead into another month. We are going to have an announcement about what we're doing with some of your contributions starting later this month, and more ideas in the hopper as well. 4,221 patrons at patreon.com/acedetect, or you can go to dailytechnewsshow.com/donate to find all the ways to support the show. Don't forget, you can have a voice in what stories we cover at our subreddit. That's dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Once again, email us, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Give us a call, leave us a voicemail, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Or just email it to us, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. And listen to the show live. Do it at mobile.alphageekradio.com. Our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back with Ken Denmead Grand Negus at geekdad.com. He'll be with us tomorrow. See you then.
Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Boom.
Boom, baby.
That was
nice
great.
Job. Well handled.
Thank you. Yeah.
The always
well
comfortable
handled.
topic of. Okay, so let's see what else is going on today. Titles.
Yeah, have fun with that one. I am not contributing to that one.
Yeah, hello, welcome to my SEO nightmare.
How about musky sentience? I just made that one up off the top of my head.
Doctor Strange Musk. That is so wrong.
Precious bodily tweets, what?
Oh, man. Let's see.
Through a scanner darkly. Nice. Yes,
yeah.
Through an email scanner darkly.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
strong.
adroit is what I would call that.
Who's responsible for that one?
CS803.
He's a title maven, or he or she is a title maven.
They could be that sentient AI we were talking about with a name like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, a sentient AI would call themselves, I don't know, Bob.
Hello, I am Bob.
Or Toby.
May I take your travel reservation?
All right. Well, it's going to be easier to edit today because I forgot to press record until right before we started the show.
Less to edit.
I know this speeds up editing, but the risk of not recording the show makes me not want to ever make that the pattern.
Not in the same way. I have the Department of Redundancy department on all of my systems. Yeah. You only lose one show before you start really fortifying.
Yep.
Because the suck on that, yikes.
I was a little late on the intro music, wasn't I? I'm actually going to edit that gap out. I don't usually do stuff. I'm Belmonting this.
I didn't put it in because it didn't quite create a tech news thing, but Felicia Day's Geek and Sundry did join the legendary digital network, which is very cool.
I know, I saw that. I'm very excited for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that's tremendous and a great home. But
Are you
I didn't
still
write it in exactly.
Are you still doing Sword and Laser video through them?
No, we're not. We only did the first season through them, but Veronica's still doing Vaginal Fantasy Book Club with Felicia.
Because who would want to stop that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a
All
great
right.
picture too. Look at that picture, man. Woo. I'll put it in the chat room. That Felicia
Through a
Day
scanner
has my
darkly.
dream hair. Yeah, I think that's it. Safest one.
That's brilliant.
CS803, say hi to THX1138 for me, okay?
It's not at his post.
TK421, why are you not at your post? I'm
Okay, we
scanning your email, Tom.
There you go.
We're all fine here.
Well,
Yeah, everybody's fine.
How are you?
Oh boy. Legendary loves to buy the nerds and geeks, says TVZ Gone. Yep.
Saw
It's
a
Verdad.
random Reddit photo of fan encounter with Mark Hamill in the airport, and they've got him sporting the full Kenobi beard thing for the
Wow. That's
Pulls it off pretty
exciting.
well.
Cool though. I mean, I like that, and I'm hoping there's a lot of touches like that.
Yeah.
JJ is good about that sort of thing, and what he couldn't do with Star Trek is put too many of those in because it was remaking.
Yeah, it was a retelling.
So a lot of the touches are just like, well, yeah, of course he's going to have a yellow shirt because he's Kirk, right? Now that he's like carrying on, I think it'll be interesting to see how he handles
Yeah, what are we going to hail back to? What are we going to avoid hailing? No Gungans. No Gungans.
it. I don't think you'll see a Gungan.
No.
No, there won't be a Gungan within 12 parsecs of that movie.
Nope.
Not touching that.
Misa not touching that either.
Misa, not touching that.
That's one of my favorite things from that era was the artist did Jar Jar up with the Darth Maul tattoos.
Oh,
And
man.
the tagline was, Misa think you gonna die.
What are they going to harken back from the prequels? Because they are. Because even though old fuddy-duddies like us are very dismissive of them, there are lots of people who grew up watching them and people who actually liked Jar Jar.
Yeah.
They're not going to go put Jar Jar, but...
I think Hayden
what
Christensen's Force Ghost is going to make an appearance.
Okay.
And either when Luke gets killed off and goes and joins the Force, or I think we'll probably see a Qui-Gon and probably a hologram recreation of Obi-Wan, which we'll have to do totally digitally because
Yeah.
man's not around no more.
Or he could just he could be like, oh, I figured out how to appear younger.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now I'm Ewan McGregor.
There you
Which
go.
would be great. I would love to see Ewan McGregor get a chance to crack that character with the dialogue written in the J.J. Abrams verse. I mean, I think that would be
Yeah.
very redemptive because he slogged through a lot.
I think we might see Watto.
Oh, please.
Don't make. I know where you live, man. Don't do that.
I didn't
I
say
just came back from California.
pushing. I'm not campaigning
I'll tell you
for
what.
it.
I'll tell you what the ultimate challenge is for J.J. Abrams, besides rebooting the entire universe, is if he can find some sort of cameo that will redeem Jar Jar Binks in some small way, I would throw a parade.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if that's possible.
I mean, how long do Gungans live? Like Wookiee years or what?
Yeah. The redemption of Jar Jar Binks.
There's a book in there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, there's a late arriving.
Yeah, that was good. That's a good. I just feel like you can't even make. It's one of those topics.
Pedo is an SEO nightmare.
It's one of those topics. No joking.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Yep.
Because it just.
I'm glad I'm editing.
It's actually just one of those topics. There's no second line to, mostly. All right. So what else is going on in the world today?
I keep wanting to write July 4th because I look down and I see the 4.
Mm-hmm. Well, in other news, I'm on Strong Narcotics. Hi.
When's your next
Good
dosage?
job. Well played.
30 minutes ago.
Oh,
So
no.
you took it right before the show?
No. I'm waiting. I
No,
wanted,
he waited.
I wanted to be reasonably
Oh.
coherent and not
Yeah.
asleep.
You were very coherent. You were exceptionally coherent.
I only mixed up who was merging with whom once.
Did you? I don't even know.
The story was about. No, it is Time Warner Comcast. Sorry. I said Time Warner one time when I had in the sentence where I meant to refer to Comcast because they were who the story was about.
Oh.
The fact that I can remember that tells me that the drugs are clear of my system.
Yep.
Right. Hey, guess what? Here's a little trivia for you. If we don't use archive.org, it costs us about $20 per episode on Amazon S3. Because remember there was that day.
Yeah. That cost you $20 to host that.
$20 in bandwidth.
Wow. That'd be kind of expensive for a 20-day-a-month show.
I think I know a guy who offers free podcast hosting to anyone who wants it.
Are we talking to him?
Here I am.
That's interesting. Well, now you know how to save $20, Tom.
The challenge there is with the large number of downloads you get. There is a 15 megabit per second cap on the server there. So that may be the issue. I want to do a test episode and see if people complain about speeds.
Yeah. There was a day that archive.org was having an issue uploading, and I just threw it on S3 on a whim.
Because I've got a bandwidth unlimited Bluehost account that I use for all my stuff, and I've got podcasting shells for whoever wants to try their hand at podcasting. So you are.
Yeah, we didn't do a. Did we plug? I tuned out. Did we successfully plug Alpha Geek Radio at the end of the show?
We did.
Of course.
We did. Okay, that was the part where I tuned out. I'm sorry.
It's because you don't love me anymore.
No, I figured it would be a little department of redundant to plug you in the plug section and at the end of the show. So I plugged you at the end of the show, and then I realized I didn't listen to the plug. So I was nervous.
Handled adroitly by Mr. Merritt.
There's that word again.
Oh my God, Tom! I just got the best email that I'm not going to tell anyone about.
Oh, thanks.
Go look at it.
You're the worst. Oh, cool.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That would make my day.
Well, we will have to tell people at some point.
Yes, we will, but not today.
Why not? You're so funny. Okay.
Because I always protect the thing.
From what?
From things.
What are you protecting it from, though?
I'm
going to say this much, and I'm not. Okay. We booked a guest, and she's very excited about the guest we booked, which we will tell you about
the day before.
No, we tell people we have our guest.
That's true.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
You just want to give them a chance to back out.
Yeah, exactly. It's also like a holdover from the CBS News days of like ultra competitive bookings in which you never talk about your guests, but we are not in this space, so it's just old habits that die hard.
Sure.
You don't want to be one-upped by any upstart shows.
Yeah.
Current Geek will scoop you every time. Those guys are jerks.
Those bastards. Yeah.
I know. Oh, that made me really happy.
Good. Yeah, I know. That's awesome. And we've Johnsoned people twice today now.
You pulled that Johnson 2 times.
Go take your dude.
I'm a little afraid to get out of the chair because I'm actually reasonably comfortable in it. I don't want to upset that.
Call for assistance on your way out of the chair, sir.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
All right, we're going to take the video down. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you soon.
Bye.